Hi, I'm James, and this is just a video on the practical use of this rigging script on a real production of a real character. Now, this character was donated by Carlo from the 2 Days Later short film, which is currently being made by a few Bradford uni students. And at the moment, this character is quite work in progress. As you can see, the topology is being improved, and also at the moment they're debating about these back legs. And this is also an advantage of this rigging script, because we are creating a fake rig first and then we're creating a rig second. So even though the group is debating about these back legs, the character's topology, these legs might become further back, we can still rig in the fake rig mode and get the rig fully set up, and then the group could say, right, actually I want this to have an extra set of legs and I want these legs to be further back. Because it's still in fake rig mode, we can then just move those spheres controls with no problem and then convert to rig straight away. So this is the case where this rigging script can be used simultaneously with the character, where usually you'd need some sort of signing off phase. You'd need to know exactly where these legs are, because if you start placing joints and rig that leg and then the modeler moves it, that's going to be quite a pain to either move that leg or delete and recreate that leg. So this is a way that the fake rig can be quickly used in a production situation. So what we're actually going to do, so now we've got the script up, we are just going to pick the spider preset, and this is going to give us a spine and 4 different limbs. And I'm just going to click, so for this we'll just click generate, we'll leave it as presets. Again, we're going to get this loading menu so we know how far along it is, and in here we get this sort of fake rig. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move to, so if we check here, the preset also tells us what it was, it's a leg, so we're going to move to the leg tab. It's already been added as leg A, B, C and D. So we're going to go to leg D, because he's only got 3 legs, spider's got 4 legs. What we're just going to do is delete that back leg. So this is a way we can use presets to quickly generate the fake rig and then add or delete certain limbs that we don't need. So now we've just got the spider with 6 legs. And make sure we're on leg A, we want both legs. And what I'm just going to do here is first select the mesh, we'll add that to a templated layer or reference it, and I'm just going to connect left to right on all these limbs. So select next limb, connect it. So now what I can quickly do with this character is just go in, move these about, move this spine forward, so I want the spine to finish inside this base here. Get this to the mid, get this end of the spine just in there. Again, we can see the spine curve, so we can see how that's going to flow inside the character. So I'm quite happy with that. And again, if we needed to, we could use the window, go to the spine, go to the edit and select them through here. But for this it's quite easy to just select them in the viewport and move them like that. So now we've got the spine in position, we're going to start moving these sphere controls for these front legs. And again, as we're just moving these sphere controls, if later on in a month or a week the modeler said I wanted to move these legs forward, we could just easily come back in, move these legs forward. so there's no need to re-rig or spend any large amounts of time going through doing pointless re-rigging that would take quite a lot of time, be quite tedious to do. So we're just going to keep going through here. And mentioned in the improvements, one improvement that could be quite useful is the ability to copy and paste limb data. So what I mean by that is all these sphere controls is basically what preset we've picked inside the window, and then what translation and rotate values we've put on top of that. So one improvement that's been mentioned is we could output all this information to a matrix, which could then be, exported as a text file, or just put as a global string or added to the script nodes, and then we could then click on this limb and paste it, which would then just take that matrix value and input it. So basically what that happen is just copy and paste the limb, which would be quite useful. So I'm just going to pause the video and do, now that they've done those front legs, I'm just going to pause the video and go ahead and do the back two legs. Okay, welcome back, and all I've done there is pause the video for literally about 2 or 3 minutes to position those back legs. So now we've got them all to position, we could start converting this, but what I actually want to do is now I want to add a spine to this top section and add some human arms. So what we could do here actually is we could really just go to the centaur preset, generate that, and then just delete the 2 legs and the back spine if we really wanted to. So that's a way that we can mix presets up. But for this, what I'm actually going to do, I'll do this manually just to show how it works. So again, you can see how distinct these sphere controls are from the rest of the mesh, and just how easily it is to see where these joints are going to be laid out. So what I'm going to do here is select this spine, and we'll need a spine. So selecting that, you can see that it's the body start, spine start, and we can see that's already been added to the list. So I'll double click this and add a back human. How many joints? We'll add 9 joints. And for this one, let's go in the side view. And we can see these sphere controls, and I'm just going to position these. And if we wanted to, we could use the start, mid and end selections inside this window, this graphic user interface, to just quickly select these and move them about. Also, we can scale, rotate, translate and scale these. So scaling this sphere control, you can see is going to change the tangent of that actual curve. So that's looking quite good, quite happy with that. You can see what's going on there, the spine sticking out at the top. So select the top of the spine, go to arms, you can see spine human end has been added again. Double click that, human. That's going to go ahead and generate the arms. We'll bring back the mesh. Let's get this window out of the way. So this one's going to go in the front view, and just quickly selecting these spheres, controls, we can just move this in place. And what I'm going to do here is make a mistake on purpose, so we can start to move this character about. And you probably want to take a little bit more time placing these joints, but for the purpose of this video we're just going to be quite quick in placement. Move to the top view. We'll just quickly move these controls. So we'll just move the metatarsals into place. And again we can rotate these if we needed to, so we could easily rotate these fingers. We could scale these as well, which might speed up. So again, just switch between the two, rotate, scale, get these into place quite quickly. And again, as these sphere controls are just the joint placement, scaling and rotating these is going to have no impact apart from the placement, so there's going to be no dodgy rotate orient, no strange like rotation values in the joints or scales or anything like that. And the mistake we've made is we can see, oh dear, we forgot to mirror the limb across. So what we'd have to do is probably undo all this, but what we can actually do is just come back to the window. We've got arm human selected and just click left to right connect, and you can see that's going to mirror that seamlessly across, even though we've got to do it at the start. And now if we want to, we can separate that and move these separately again. So that's just a quick way of, if we have made that mirror mistake, which is quite easy to make, we can just quickly dodge out of that. So now what we would do for this is we could have like another spine for the neck, but for the purpose of this video we're just going to get this done quite quickly. But we could do the same we did with the human spine, it's just create a spine on this top human spine joint to make the neck sort of control. Right, so what we can now do in here is, now we've got how we like, we can just go ahead and start converting these. So we'll start off with the arms, convert left, convert right, and just start going down, adding all the different controls we want. And in less than probably 20 seconds we've now got IK and FK on those arm limbs. So you can just see the speed at which we can place the arms, generate IK and FK quite quickly. That's probably no more than 5 minutes for 2 limbs with all the IKs and FKs and stretchy. So usually for a non-advanced rigger, from personal experience and also teaching at Bradford University as a lecture assistant in some of the animation modules, setting up the IK and FK as a newcomer to 3D rigging can be quite tricky to learn, and it can be quite tedious and take quite a lot of time to get correctly. So allowing this to be done in less than 30 seconds is going to speed up a heck of a lot of time and reduce a lot of pain trying to set up several characters. So for selecting this character, if there was, I don't know, 10 different versions of it that need to be slightly different, so say like he might have different legs, and a different mutated character might have some flippers for the front arms, it can be quite easy to just go in, change that preset and just quickly knock out different rigs quite quick. So what I'm going to do now is just pause the video and go through all these legs, converting them to joints and converting all the spines. Okay, so we're back after converting all those to IKFK, stretchy IKFK. One disadvantage at the moment is all the controls are procedurally generated, so the user can't really change what controls they want at the moment. In the future that can be developed a bit more to allow either prompt the user to say please enter the name of the control you want to use instead, or check for the name of the control, so check if this control exists. If it doesn't, create it. If it does, that means the user has already created that control with that name. So that's one area that this rigging script could be improved by, but the user can still select these controls and just quickly move them into place just by going into component mode and moving those curves. So here we've got the rig, and now you can see it's got IKFK, all these different systems attached up, and this has been relatively quite quick, so it's been just under half an hour to create all this, which would usually take quite a lot longer to get this sort of system up and running this fast. So now what we're going to do is connect this up. So I'll start off with the arms, so the human arms. We'll go to connect, and what I want to connect it to, so oops, I'll just click cancel, just double click that. I can't quite remember what joint this up here was, so what I can just do is select joints on the list and see what I'm selecting. So there we go, we can see it's the top of the human spine, 09. So just double click that, parent. Now we've got the legs, leg A, and again I can't remember which one that was, so it's this one here, parent. Leg B, and leg B isn't really a descriptive name, it's one of the presets we used at the start, so the user could easily just choose a different name. So what I'm going to do is just click that to the second one actually, double click that, parent, and then the back legs. So I'll go to leg C, we'll see which joint is closest, and what I'm actually going to do, we can bring up the mesh again, just to see where that, and I'd actually probably say that go in between those two joints there. So I'm going to do on that joint there. We've connected those up, so we've connected the arms and the legs, so we're ready to go. Not quite, because we start moving this about, we can see we've actually got two spines in this system. So what we'll actually want to do is connect the spider spine, so this sort of centaur spine, to the human spine. So we'll go to the spine, go to the connect. What do we want to connect? So make sure we've got the human spine selected, and we're going to go to this front spine again. Double click, and again, because it's a spine, it's not going to let us parent it, because we're not parenting joints this time, we're parenting controls, that cog, that centre of gravity control, and we don't really want to parent controls. It's okay if we're parenting joints because they're in the same section of the character node, but when it's controls to joints, we just want to parent constraint that, so they're all kept separate but they're constrained. So now we have this character which is fully connected, fully set up. We can edit these controls if we need to. So just testing this, you can see how now we've selected the front spider spine, and just selecting this, we can see how all these controls are now all joined together. So you can see how that's moving the top spine. We can go ahead, we can change the tangent of this, we can make this stretchy, sort of stretchy. Oop. We also want to make this one stretchy. So we can just generally put this rig to the max. We can see how making these human spine stretchy, we can change the tangent of the spine. Probably not a pose for this sort of realistic fantasy character, but you can see how it works. And now selecting this bottom spine, we can see how all this is going to be connected together. Moving that bottom spine, that centaur spine, because it's moving the legs, it's also moving the top of the spine, so this is all connected together. You can see how moving the centaur spine, it's going to change the rotation of that top spine because it's connected as well. And then again, we can come in with that tangent and really start to change the way that spine works. So I'll just undo all that to get back to the default bind pose. And bring back up the character. We can go to this skinning tab, which is still kind of work in progress. It's not initially part of this project, but it's been added due to popular demand. We can see how there's no head limbs at this moment, but we can see how all these joints are now all in these lists, so we can easily query and find all these joints. We can see all polygons in scene. We can see this insectoid character is going to come up. If we put this insectoid character in the character node model section, you can see how it's going to just get the mesh we want. And again, because using the two different names, joint bind, joint driver, we can see how quickly we can just add all the bind joints, so this interface knows what we want to skin with and what we don't want to skin with. So what we're actually going to do is just test this, and we're just going to do a quick skinning test to show this rig working. But bear in mind that if we select this, or if we just look at the wireframe of this mesh, it's still kind of work in progress as it's come straight out of ZBrush before it's been re-topologized, so the topology is not set up for animation at the moment. And again, this is how this rig can be really helpful with a pipeline of animation, modeling and rigging at the same time, is we can update this rig to the model. One area that could be really improved, and is mentioned in the report, is basically what we mentioned earlier about copying limb data, where we take the translate, rotate and scale values of all these sphere controls and the presets we chose. If we then dumped that into the script nodes, so if these script nodes recorded where each sphere control was placed by the user, what we could actually do is we could then change these buttons to an undo. So the user could go to the convert tab, click undo on joint, convert to joints, and that could then delete all the joints and recreate that fake rig with all the same placements that we chose at the time. So that's a way that we could actually rig this entire character and then just click undo and go back to the fake rig, move it slightly and re-rig it. So that potentially could really improve this rigging script. That's completely possible just by adding that in there, but it's not added at the moment because it wasn't part of the initial proposal, and would take quite a bit of time to set up. But you can just see how adding that undo, we could just unrig, move the sphere controls, move the limb, re-rig, and you could just the animator could completely customize a rig within a few seconds just for that shot. So if we got a shot where, I don't know, we needed this leg to have a slightly different orientation, or we wanted parts of the fingers, we wanted extra fingers, different things like that, we could just undo and move it, then re-rig. So what we're going to do here is go back to the skinning, and we've already selected, we're just going to go to smooth skin, and that's going to select all the joints, select the mesh we want, and we're going to go in, and this is my 2013, so we're going to use the new heat map and just quickly apply. Actually, we're going to cancel that for the moment and just use the closest distance, because this is again come straight out of ZBrush, and heat map's not going to really like all this bad topology, which is going to be improved later on. So later on we could use the heat map. So we're just going to apply the default bind. I'm going to see how, and that's the default bind at the moment with a mesh that's still being improved, so we can just see, and that's just the default bind again, because some of these legs you'd want to skin more to the back joints. You can see just how quickly we could rig a character and then just skin it using. So even though this is sort of a default bind with no skin weights edited, you can see how that's made quite a decent job of just setting up the arm. And then setting up these legs.